right, it's New Year's. We've got to have Oliebollen. This would be the first year in I don't even know how long that we are not going to my mom's house for New Year's Oliebollen. So I better make it at home. So we're going to have, started out with 2 tablespoons of yeast in a 1/4 cup of warm water. I just wanted to get the yeast working before I have it all mixed in with everything else. So I just got this ready while I was getting all my ingredients ready. So this is 2 tablespoons of yeast in a 1/4 cup of warm water so that that can start to work. And then I also have 1½ cups of warm milk. Whenever you're working with yeast, you want to make sure your ingredients are warm. You don't want them hot because you can kill your yeast if your ingredients are too hot. So this is just warm. So I've got my milk and my yeast with a little bit of water. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to mix this all in a bowl by hand. And I have a 1/4 cup of sugar. I also have 2 eggs. And in order to get your Oliebollen to be very moist, you'll want to grate up some apple. I have 2 apples here, so it's about 2 cups of apple. I just grated it on a little bit of a coarser grade. You can do the finer grade as well, or you can just cube them really fine, chop it up by hand if you don't have a shredder. But the apple in your Oliebollen just makes them so much more moist. If you like raisins, you can put some raisins in as well. I personally don't like raisins in my Oliebollen, so we're not going to be putting our raisins in. And we're going to add in our flour. I have 3½ cups of flour. This is not a huge batch. It will still make quite a few because this is going to double up in size. We're going to let this rise for about an hour or so. Just on the counter, we'll cover it up and we're going to let it rise. And then we're going to deep fry them. It's the only way to actually make Oliebollen is to deep fry. I know many people have asked, can you do them in the air fryer? But you just can't. They have to be deep fried. It's very much like a donut that you're going to have some icing sugar on afterwards. But we're just going to mix this up together and we're going to cover this up and let it rise on our counter for about an hour. You want it to double in size. And then we'll get the deep fryer going and get that all heated up. And we're going to have some Oliebollen this afternoon. So my dough has been rising for an hour and I just want to show you what that looks like. Look how beautiful, nice and light and fluffy. You want your Oliebollen to be nice and light and fluffy. We don't want to have these hard as a rock. So I've got my deep fryer heating up outside because I just don't want to smell up the house. So I got that preheating for 375 degrees with the oil, and I'm going to scoop this in. There's 2 different ways you can scoop your dough in. You can use 2 spoons and you can scoop some up and then scoop it off into your bowl, or if you have a pre-measured scoop, you can use one of these as well. I'll probably try both and see what I like best. I'll probably end up using my nice round scoop because it's just a little bit easier. So we're going to get this outside and I will show you what they look like when they're deep frying. Alright, I've turned my temperature down a little because mine are getting a little dark. You only need these in for about 2 minutes per side. So this is about how big they turn out. And I like to put them in some paper towel here so any of the excess oil can just drain off of there. Get those out. So they're a hair dark. So I just dropped my temperature to 360 instead of 375. And I do find the 2 spoons does work the best. And you don't need a lot of dough on your spoon because they do puff up quite a bit. So you'll get a scoop like that. We're just going to drop that into the oil. And we're going to set our timer for the 2 minutes and then we'll flip them. I'll show you, the flipping is very easy. Actually, I'm going to start my timer now while I'm starting to get these first few in because they do cook up very quickly. The dough is very nice and soft. You don't want to overcook them, so you don't want them to become really hard. All right, I'll just stop at that so I can get them in for my 2 minutes, and we'll flip those over in a minute. All right, just gonna flip these. You want them to cook evenly on both sides. All right, we're gonna put them in for another 2 minutes, and then we'll take them out. Show you what the inside should look like. You want to make sure it's all cooked all the way through, nice and light, that you don't have any wet dough in there. So this is perfectly done. They're nice and light and airy and delicious. All right, 2 minutes aside, all you need. I haven't been really counting. I'm not sure how many I'm going to get out of here. This is now my 1, 2, 3. It's going to be my 4th batch in. 5 times. There might be about 35 or so, 36 that we'll make out of this, which is quite a few. Eating your Oliebollen, make sure you have some icing sugar to go with it. It's just the best way to eat it. Dip it in your icing sugar. Delicious. There's my recipe. Give them a try. They go off the table almost as quick as I can get them on the table.